So, um, just a few things to start off with. I hope everybody's doing okay. If you need any help, please contact me at any time. We can set up a Google Meets and do some tutoring. Um, we've got 5 more weeks of this. We're going through May 22nd. If you're having technology issues or Wi-Fi issues or whatever, we have some things in place in the district to help you out with that. So we just need to know what issues you're having. If you have trouble with quizzes and tests and you want to go back and retake them, just email me. And the last thing I wanted to talk about before I get to this actual video is notes. Some of you are doing an excellent job of notes. You're taking pictures of what you write down during the videos, and you're taking pictures of the practice, and you're emailing those to me or sending them to me through Schoology, and that's great. Some of you are typing stuff into the text box, and some of it's good. So, you're typing out, like when we were doing the trig stuff, you were typing out the identities, but some of you were just going to some page and copying in garbage. Sometimes it's not even math related, and so I'm giving you a 0. So if you'd like to go back and change any of that stuff, then you just need to send me. It's best if you send the title of the lesson in the email and the notes so I know what to go back and look at. Okay. Let me share with you. Okay. I sent this out to you, and it's also up in Schoology. This is our syllabus. It's the same it has been. It's just now filled out through the rest of the year, through Friday, May 22nd. Since we don't have any finals, that's the end. You just need to finish before then. You can finish early. Every week I put in grades, and if you're not caught up, then you have zeros in there for the assignments you're missing. But as soon as you do them and catch up the next Friday, I'll put the grades in and it will correct to that grade. I'm not going to go in every day and change grades. That's too much work for me. It's every Friday. And in fact, it may even be Saturday morning sometimes. So just make sure your stuff is in by Friday afternoon and keeping up to date on this calendar. The actual grade, that's the grade that's going in there. Okay, so today I wanted to start out with where we are. If you had trouble with the whole first chapter, on conics, again, contact me and we'll set up some tutoring sessions. I posted the video of somebody going over the review that was sent to me. And so I want to just work a couple problems from the first section on algebraic vectors. This is the problem from the practice, and you each get them in a different order, but they are the same questions. So a vector is written like this. It's a lowercase letter with a little race symbol over it. So vector, is that a t? So we want to find vector t. So we're looking for, let me change the writing. Here we go. Vector t, and it's got a little half arrow over it. That's how we write it. And so when we write a vector, we write it, it looks like an ordered pair, okay? But it has these pointy brackets on it. So this is what our answer is going to look like. We're looking for what goes here and what goes here. Okay, so vector t is 4 times vector u plus 6 times vector v. So 4 times vector u is just 4 times vector u. So vector u up here is -1, 4. So that's 4 times -1 and 4 times 4. So that just becomes -4, 16. And then 6 times vector v is 6 times each component of vector v. So 6 times 3, comma, 6 times -2. And so that becomes 18, -12. And so when I add these two together, because that's what it asked me to do here, I get -4 plus 18, comma, 16 plus -12. And so that becomes 14, comma, 4. And so the answer is B. So what this means is, what a vector means is, rather than this ordered pair, it means we're going to move this amount in an x direction. So this vector means I go 1 to the left and 4 up, okay? And vector V is I go 3 to the right and 2 down. So when I multiply them by 4 and 6 and add them together, the resultant vector is 14 to the right and 4 up. Okay, so let's do another one. In this, in this problem, I want to find the vector yz and find the magnitude of yz. Okay, so first I need to find vector yz when I'm given, I don't know what just happened, when I'm given these 2 points. So I'm going to draw a graph of this so I have an idea of what's happening. So y is at 5, 4. So here's the point y. This is actually a point. Notice it's in parentheses, not the brackets. And then z is at 0, -3, so z is over here. So I apologize for my terrible penmanship. So this is the vector I'm talking about. So if I actually drew it on paper, it starts here and it terminates over here with the arrow. So I could count it. I'm going so many to the left and I'm going down so many. So how we find this, how we find my vector, is we've got to find the first what's happening to the x's. So I started at an x value of 5 and I went to an x value of 0. So that means I went left 5. So it's 0 minus 5. Your end value, this is the end, minus the beginning. And I'm going to do the same thing with the y's. So I end at -3 and I start at 4. Okay, so this gives me a resultant vector of -5, -7, which means from where I start, which is here at y, I'm going to the left 5 and down 7, and I end up here. Okay, so that's the first part of the answer. So from that, I can use deduction to get rid of some answers. It's not A, because that's -5, -3. It's not C, because that's the same thing. So it's either B or D. Next, I want to find the magnitude. So how this is written is like 2 absolute value symbols. Okay, so the magnitude of YZ is the square root of the components squared. So I'm going to take -5 and I'm going to square it and then add it to -7 squared. So that's the square root of 25 plus 49, which is the square root of 74. And sometimes you can simplify that, but in this case, not. So the answer is D. So let's do another one of those since that's a little bit more work. And here's another problem I picked. We want to find vector yz and then the magnitude of yz. And here are the 2 points. And this was a free response question. So again, I want a visual for this. So I'm going to draw a picture. So 3, 1 is y, and 0, 4 is z. So here is the vector I'm talking about. Again, sorry, it looks so sloppy. So I'm going to the left 3 and up 3. So I actually know what the answer is just looking at this. But let's go ahead and calculate it so we know how to do that. So vector yz is, where do I end up? 0 minus, where do I start? 3. Those are my x components. And then the same thing with the y's, 4 minus 1. And the biggest mistake people make here is they do it in the wrong order. So I get -3, 3. And again, I drew a picture, so this should make sense. I'm going left 3, so here's where I start. Here's where I start. And I go left 3 and then up 3. So those have the correct signs on them. And then the absolute value, sorry, not the absolute value, the magnitude of yz is the square root of -3 squared plus 3 squared. So that's 9 plus 9, which is the square root of 18. And you'll notice on some of these questions, they give you decimals, and there's a little calculator there on your screen you can use. So that's 9 times 2. 18 is 9 times 2, and the square root of 9 is 3. So the answer is 3 square root 3 if it's in radical form. Okay, the last question I want to work is the word problem. The Walker family is building a cabin for vacationing. Mr. Walker and his son Terrell have erected a scaffold to stand on while they build the walls of the cabin. As they stand on the scaffold, Terrell puts a rope attached to a support beam with a force of 400 newtons. Okay, so that's the length of this. So that's the magnitude of this vector is 400. And the angle is 65 degrees. And then they put another one over here, and this has a magnitude of 600 degrees, and that angle is 110, as drawn there. What is the magnitude of the force of the combined vectors? So what that means is that I want to add these two together. So I need to figure out how to write this as a vector, like using pointy brackets, something, comma, something. I need to write this one that way, and then I'm going to do the same thing over there. And I apologize, my pinky keeps hitting the screen and doing stuff. Okay, so I'm going to redraw this triangle. I'm going to draw this as a triangle here, where this is 400, that's this length, this is 65. And so if I want to write this as a vector, I need to know what is the x component. I go to the right or left, but in this case, right, x, and I go up y. So what does this look like, and why do we do this right after trig? Because we're going to use trig for it. I've got to write two separate equations. So in order to find x, okay, I'm going to use cosine. So the cosine of 65 is x over 400. And I'm going to wait till the very end to use the calculator. So if I put this over 1 and I cross multiply, x is 400 cosine 65. And in order to find y, that's opposite the 65, so that's sine. So the sine of 65 is y over 400. So again, put this over 1, cross multiply. 1 times 1 is y, and that's 400 sine 65. So without using a calculator, so I didn't use a calculator till the end. This first vector is 400 cosine 65, comma 400 sine 65. Now, what happens when I look at the second triangle, which looks like this? Here's the second triangle. That's not a right angle, sorry. The second triangle, I'm totally drawing it wrong. So give me just a second to erase this so I don't run out of room. Okay, the second triangle actually looks like this. Okay, it's this triangle here. So, and I drew it wrong again. 1 second. It looks like this. It's this triangle here, where this side is 600 degrees. So this is the x, this is the y. Now, I'm talking about this angle, and this angle here is not 110 degrees, but because it's in the second quadrant over here, that's the angle I'm going to use because it's going to give me a negative x, right? So this is going to be, it's going to end up being exactly the same thing. It's going to be 600 cosine 110, comma 600 sine 110. Okay, it works out exactly the same way as this one over here, and then I just need to take these two and I need to add them together. And that's going to give me a vector, and the vector is 36.165, comma 926.339. Now, let's go back and read the question again. What is the magnitude of the combined force that it exerts on the log? Okay, so then what I need to do is I need to find the magnitude of this. So that's, again, we take the square root of, we're going to square this. 36 squared plus 926.3 squared, and then take the square root. It's kind of messy. I have it, the answer is B. Okay, but that's how we find it. Okay, so that's all I have for right now, I just wanted to share this first unit with you. I'll make another video probably tomorrow for the next vectoring unit. Hopefully, once you get into this and understand what's going on, vectors are actually fairly easy. Okay. Take care. Again, please, please, please let me know what you need help with. I'm here to help you.